my name is Hunter May. I'm the owner of May Crochets, and we're gonna be talking about how to create these super cute mushroom car hangings. Obviously, having little mushrooms on like a vine doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they're really cute, okay? So we're gonna do it anyways. This pattern is gonna be very similar to my pattern of cherry car hanging. You can watch that video here. So if you know how to do this pattern, it's going to be very similar as this pattern. So the car hangings, the leaves move up and down, so you're able to like get it around your car mirror and then you pull them back up. You can also put them on like a bag, do like a bag charm, super cute. I also sell these at markets where I do $10 a car hanger if you're just curious. But yeah, let's go into what materials you need to make these. Obviously you can do whatever color mushroom you want, but I use green, red, and white. These ones are, I love this yarn by Hobby Lobby. And then this white is, I think, actually Red Heart from like Walmart. Wait for yarn, and I'll put the yardages on the screen as well in the description. I don't know exactly what they are right now. As far as hook size, we're gonna be using size G. You can use a different size hook, just know that if you use a larger hook, your mushroom car hanging is going to turn out a lot bigger than mine. You're also gonna need some scissors and then a tapestry needle. So something with a big enough eye that you can put yarn through, just so we can embroider the little spots on the mushroom. I promise I will make it as easy as possible for this. And then also you're gonna need just a little bit of stuffing, basically just stuffing to stuff the stem of the mushroom. And then I wanted to just add a really quick note to this that although I would say this is a pretty beginner pattern, I'm not going to be going over each stitch used in this pattern super in depth. I'm trying to keep this tutorial as short as possible. So if you need to do a little bit more practice, if you're a beginner of specific stitches, please do so. I will be going a little bit over how to create a slip knot, how to slip stitch, how to half double crochet, how to double crochet, and how to single crochet. Those are all the stitches you need to know / be ready to learn quickly for this tutorial. And then I'll also walk you through how to make a really easy magic ring. So, all right, now with all that being said, let's get to the tutorial. We're gonna start on the stem here. So the part that determines how long or how far the mushrooms are gonna hang. So what we're gonna do is we're essentially gonna chain 60. So really quickly, let's go over how I make a slip knot. There are tons of ways you can do this. This is just how I do it. You wanna make sure you have a like 2 to 3 inch tail at the end, because this is how we're actually gonna be attaching our mushroom to the stem. You're gonna hold the tail end of the yarn, wrap it around your finger twice. You're gonna take the back loop and put it over the front loop. And now take the new back loop, put it all the way over your finger, and then tighten. And that's a slip knot. So we'll insert our hook and you're just going to chain 60. You can also completely change the length of the chain as well, if you want a shorter car hanging, or if you want to make this a charm as well. So I have 60 chains. Now I'm going to just cut the end and fasten off. So we want to leave like 2 to 3 inches of a tail, cut it, and then we'll just pull all our yarn through to fasten off. And then you can tighten both ends just to make sure they're both tight. And there's the stem. Now we're gonna work on the leaves. So once again, you'll make a slip knot. So hold the tail. The tail end length doesn't matter for this one. Wrap it around your finger twice, back to front, back over your finger, and tighten. Okay, so to start the leaves, we're going to chain 16. So there is 16 chains. Now, starting in the second chain from the hook, so not this first, but this second one here, we're going to single crochet. So insert our hook into that second chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2 for a single crochet. Then we're gonna half double crochet. So we're gonna yarn over first, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 for a half double crochet. Then we're gonna do 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the chains. So yarn over again, insert in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we'll do that 2 more times. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, complete the double crochet, and then 1 more double crochet. Then we're gonna do another half double crochet. So yarn over, insert in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 3. So we're kind of creating a leaf and then coming back down from it. And then you'll do another single crochet into the next, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we'll do a slip stitch in the next. So that means insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then just pull that stitch through the other stitch on your hook. So now we have the top half of our leaf here. So we have this section. Then we're going to chain 1. And then we're gonna basically repeat exactly what we did over here. So we're gonna do a single crochet, a half double crochet, 3 double crochets, another half double crochet, and then a single crochet. So it should be the same thing on both sides. So now we're going to actually take the leaf and we're going to flip it around. We're rotating it and we're gonna work across the bottom of the leaves. So you wanna stretch this loop that you ended with a little bit just to make a cleaner edge here. And we're gonna be working on the bottom stitches of the chain that we just worked into. And we're gonna work exactly what we did on this side as this side. So stretch that first loop and we'll work single crochet, half double crochet, and 3 double crochets. Then another half double crochet, single crochet, and I guess I forgot to mention I'm hiding my tail end and crocheting over it as I go, that way I don't have to hide it later. And then we're gonna slip stitch after doing that single crochet, slip stitch in the next one, and chain 1. So 1 leaf is done, and then you'll repeat the same thing on this side as well. Single crochet, half double crochet, 3 double crochets, then a half double crochet again, single crochet, last one. All right, so we completed the second leaf, and then we're going to slip stitch in the very first one that we did to start off. And then you can cut your yarn, pull your yarn through, and then we're gonna hide this tail end, which I like to do underneath the stitches. So I'm gonna go underneath like the V of the single crochets. So tapestry needle, work under these here and hide your yarn that way. And now we're going to put the leaves onto our stem. So what you're gonna do is take your hook and place them in the front loops in the middle, kind of where we did our chain. Then you're gonna take around the middle, doesn't really matter, of your stem and pull it through. So now we're done with our green and we have our stem part of our car hanging. So now we're gonna work on the mushroom cap. We're gonna create a magic ring. We're basically gonna take the tail end, put it behind our working yarn. So you kind of have something like this. Then insert your hook inside here, grab the working yarn, pull it through, and chain 1. And now we're just gonna add our single crochets into this loop where we need 8 single crochets. Okay, so I have 8 single crochets, and now we're just gonna grab that tail end and pull tight, and it's going to shrink our magic ring. Now we're going to increase in every single stitch around, which means we're gonna put 2 single crochets in each stitch, so we end up with 16. And you can kind of figure out what our first stitch is by counting backwards. So this counts as 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is the first stitch I need to work into. And you do not want to hide your end as you go here. We want to leave the tail end this way. So we're going to place 2 single crochets in each stitch around. Okay, so you should have a bigger circle now where you have 16 stitches around. And now we're just going to do 2 rows of working a single crochet in every single stitch. So 16 around, then 16 around again. So 2 total times. So after those 2 rounds, it should start kind of curving inwards, so you can start seeing our mushroom cap a little bit. So we're gonna slip stitch into the next stitch just to finish off. And then we want to leave a long tail enough to be able to sew it to our stem of our mushroom later. So I kind of make sure it's around the same size of the circle plus some, cut it, and we'll fasten off. So that is 1 mushroom cap, and then you can go ahead and make the second one following the same exact instructions. We're done with the red yarn now, and you should have 2 little mushroom caps here. We're gonna now attach them to our stem. We're gonna go on the inside of our mushroom cap with our crochet hook, pop out the very middle, grab one of the tails from our stem and pull it through. And you wanna make sure you don't do what I just did where you pull it all the way through, just the tail end, and then the tail end of the stem and the tail end that's in the middle of the mushroom cap, you're gonna tie those 2 together. And you wanna make sure you tie tight and a couple times to make sure the mushroom is attached pretty good to your stem. And repeat that for both sides. And you can kind of just stuff all that yarn inside the cap. You're gonna grab your white, and we want about 10 inches of yarn. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. Doesn't matter if you have more. And then we're gonna thread onto our tapestry needle. The easiest way to do the spots is to do it kind of in like a cross or like a T formation. Obviously it doesn't have to be perfect, but this is what makes it easy and fast for me to do. So one on top of the other, kind of this T shape. We're just going to go bottom up into anywhere into the mushroom. So kind of around the 2 rows up from the bottom, and then pull your yarn through, but don't pull all the way. We want to leave a bit of a tail. And then 1 row up from that, we're going to go straight back down and pull all the way through, but make sure you're kind of holding this tail so you don't pull everything through. And you also don't want to pull super tight because we want to make sure these are pronounced. Now we're going to go kind of 90 degrees from that point. So you can go into either one of the rows, it doesn't really matter, but I try to go in kind of the same row. So 90 degrees from that, pull through there, and then 1 row down, go down, spin it, go 90 degrees from that. So coming from the bottom up, go about here, pull through, and then go 1 row down, pull down, and then last one, 90 degrees or so from there, come up, make sure this tail end doesn't get caught up in everything, and then 1 row down, go through, and then you can take your tapestry needle off. So you can see I have 4 little spots now. Now we're gonna go underneath, and we're essentially gonna tie the first tail end with your new tail end. So we have our caps, we have our stem, we have our leaves. Now let's go over how we do the stem part of the mushroom. So you're gonna need your white yarn, and we're gonna create a magic ring. Once again, we're gonna place the tail behind the working yarn. So create a little X, insert your hook inside, yarn over, pull up a loop, chain 1, and then you're gonna place 8 single crochets in this magic ring. and then we'll pull our magic ring tight. We want to make sure this one's pretty tight. This is the very bottom of the stem. Then we're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to increase in the next stitch. So place 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then we'll do 3 more single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. And you should have 10 single crochets around. And then you're just going to single crochet around in each stitch twice. So 10 stitches and then another 10 stitches. So I did 2 rounds of 10 single crochets. You can now tuck the tail just inside. Now you're going to once again single crochet 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to decrease. And so how we decrease is we're going to go in the front loop only of the next stitch. And then we'll do the front loop of the second stitch and then do a single crochet. And that creates just a cleaner decrease. And then we're gonna do 3 more single crochets and then another decrease. So go in the front loop of the next stitch and then the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through both of those, and then single crochet. And so now you should have 8 stitches around. And now we're gonna do once more where you crochet a full round of 8 stitches. So just single crochet 8 times. And then now we're going to increase in every single stitch. So you will end up with 16 stitches around. So place 2 single crochets in every single stitch around. So this essentially makes it so it fans out. That way we can attach 1-to-1 with the cap here. So now we're just going to slip stitch into the next single crochet and fasten off. And there is our stem. So now you need to stuff it. I would recommend not stuffing it a ton, but you still want to make sure it has a decent firmness to it. And then make a second one of these for the other mushroom cap. And you repeat the same instructions. Now is when we attach the stems to the mushroom caps. So we're gonna take the long red tail end and thread it through our tapestry needle. And this should be 1 stitch to 1 stitch here. So it should be pretty easy. And I also recommend going through the front loop of both stitches just for a better seam. And I also, another tip, I like to start right after the tail of this one. That way when you come around to this side, you can tie the 2 ends together and hide them, and so it stays a little bit more secure. So we're gonna go in the stitch right after the tail, so the front loop of this one, pull through, and then the front loop of the next one. And you're just gonna do that all the way down. So front loop here, front loop here. And like I said, it should be 1-to-1 stitch, so you should have the right amount as you join. And you wanna kinda tighten up as you go, just for a better join. So I've worked all the way around. I'm going to tighten a little bit, and it makes it just look that much more like the white part is underneath the cap, like that. And then we're going to take our 2 tail ends and tie them together to secure. And then either with your tapestry needle or your crochet hook, I always just use the crochet hook because I find it easier, just go somewhere in the mushroom cap, like on the other side, find where those 2 tail ends are here, and just pull them through. And then flatten out the mushroom cap, kind of push the stem into the cap, and there we go. one of our little mushrooms is done, and you'll just repeat the same thing for the other guy. And your little mushroom car hanger or tote bag charm is now completed. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you haven't yet checked out the cherry car hanging tutorial, you should definitely do so. At some point, I will also be making this, but for strawberries as well. So let me know if that is something you'd be interested in. Please tag me on socials if you make these. I really would love to see it. And also be sure to subscribe for more tutorial videos like this from me in the future.